There's a version of you the world has never met. A version that doesn't chase, doesn't plead, doesn't wait for permission to become. He just walks with eyes forward, breath steady, and a know in his chest that bends the world around his footstep. You felt him before, late at night, in moments of silence, in decisions that scared you, but somehow felt like home. This version of you doesn't try to succeed. He remembers that he already has. But right now, you're still walking like you're hoping to be chosen. You speak like you're asking for entrance. You hesitate like you still need proof. Here's the truth that will break everything open. Most people don't fail because they're not chosen. They fail because they never acted like they were. Read that again. This world does not respond to the quiet ache of the unchosen. It responds to the thunder of those who move as if the crown is already theirs. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. It's not delusion. It's divine memory. The moment you act like it's already yours, you'll begin to see that it always was. But this isn't about pretending. It's about remembering. Because the gate you're waiting to pass through was built by your own disbelief. And the key? It's how you walk, not after it happens. But before, let this awaken something ancient in you. Imagine this. You're standing in a vast hall carved from stone. Ancient, silent, eternal. Torches flicker on either side. And in the center, a scroll hovers in the air, sealed in gold wax. Your name is etched into it. But here's the twist. You can't read it. Not yet. The ink is invisible until you apply heat. Until you act. That's the hidden law no one tells you. Life only reveals its promises to those who move as if they're already fulfilled. It's not about wishing harder. It's about walking deeper. Not about scripting outcomes, but stepping into them. Because the real power doesn't come from what you want. It comes from what you assume is already decided. The beggar and the king both walk the same earth, but only one of them expects the world to rise in his presence. Which are you? Before wealth, before clarity, before love or peace or status, there is one gate, assumption. And here's the paradox that breaks the weak. The moment you truly assume it's already yours, you stop chasing, you stop pleading, you stop leaking energy into maybes and halfway beliefs. You begin to walk differently, speak with rhythm, decide with calm. Because something inside you already knows. Napoleon Hill called this definiteness of purpose. But beneath the philosophy lies a much deeper current, assuming the outcome as fact, and then acting in harmony with it. This is the law of the already decided. Read that again. It means you must walk before the world applauds. You must build before anyone believes. You must crown yourself before the mirror reflects it. And that's where most fall. Not because they lack talent, or time, or tools, but because they waited for the world to tell them who they were. As if identity is something granted. It's not. It's claimed. And until you claim it, you will walk with a hesitation that repels everything you say you want. Look back. Every time you broke through, it wasn't because you figured it all out. It was because you moved before you were ready. You spoke before you were certain. You stepped into the room not to fit in, but to command it. You became the proof. Because here's the truth. You don't become chosen after you succeed. You succeed because you acted like you were already chosen. Pause here. Let this echo in you. It was already written. The outcomes you seek, the vision you hold, they don't come to you. They're activated through motion. Invisible contracts, spiritual laws, divine design. None of it responds to desperation, only to direction. So the real question is, what if everything you seek is delayed, not by lack, but by your doubt that it's already yours? Let that sit. Because your delay isn't punishment. It's proof that you haven't aligned with the frequency of already decided. Picture this. Two people want the same life. One waits to feel ready. The other walks like it's done. Same skills, same market, same day. But only one bends reality. Why? Because reality doesn't follow skill. It follows certainty. And certainty is not confident. It's not arrogance. It's the sacred silence of a soul who remembers. There is no neutral path here. You are either transmitting doubt or you are embodying decision. And decision speaks in energy, not words. It shows in how you enter the room, in the tone of your no. In the stillness behind your eyes. It's not about proving anything. It's about walking like the outcome was never in question. That's the law. The law of the already decided. One last image. A door that opens to no key, only to presence. And when you arrive with the vibration of already mine, It swings open like it was never locked. Read that again. Because nothing will shift in your outer world until you declare internally, silently, relentlessly, that you're no longer asking. You decided. And from this moment forward, everything must realign. Not if, not someday. Now, echo loop. It was already written. Now you walk it out. There's a sound only the chosen can hear. It doesn't come from outside. It doesn't come from applause or results or approval. It hums inside your bones, like a frequency that calls your name, but only when you're still enough to hear it. Chosen isn't a feeling. It's a frequency. You don't feel chosen because you succeeded. You feel chosen when you finally tune into the truth that's been humming inside you since before the world made you forget. And once you hear it, everything changes. Let's pull the mask off this illusion. The idea that the chosen are picked by life, by luck, by someone above. No, the chosen are not picked. They pick themselves. They assume the frequency. They wear the identity. And the world, slowly, then suddenly, begins to reflect it. But you have to go first. You have to become the version of yourself that no longer asks, but commands. Not from force, from remembrance. Napoleon Hill spoke of this in a hidden way. He called it the other self, a higher future version of you that appears in moments of intense faith, when decision burns away the old you. This other self doesn't ask for sign. He is the sign. This is the chosen identity, and you can't fake your way into it. You must embody it. Visualize this. A sealed chamber, a door with no handle, no lock, no visible way in. Then, a sound, a tone, low, precise, resonant. The door opened, not because of effort, but because the frequency matched the code. That's how identity works. When you become the energetic match for your vision, doors open that logic said were sealed. Because identity is not a thought. It's a transmission. Most people try to think their way into abundance, but thought alone is too quiet for the universe to hear. The universe responds to resonance, to posture, to rhythm, to embodiment. So the deeper question is not, what do I want? It's, who must I become to match what I say I want? Until your identity evolves, your results never will. And here's the twist. You're not inventing this identity. You're returning to it. Because deep down, you already know how the chosen version of you walks. You've seen glimpses, moments of total calm, decisions that came from your chest, not your head. Power that didn't need to shout because it didn't doubt. Those weren't accidents. They were reminders. Read that again. Let's kill another lie. Fake it till you make it. No, wake it till you shape it. Because you're not pretending. You're tuning in. You're allowing the dormant version of yourself to take the wheel. You're silencing the voice that says, who do you think you are? And replacing it with the deeper voice that whispers, I remember exactly who I am. Echo loop. He who has assumed has already become. So pause here. Ask yourself, what version of me do I become when I stop asking for proof? Not in theory, in tone, in posture, in choices, in how I speak to my goals, in how I carry myself in silence. That version is the chosen one, and the world is waiting for him. Not the version of you that pleads, the version that remembers. You don't become chosen. You decide you already are. And then you move from memory, not from fear. Because once the identity is claimed, the path reshapes itself around you. Stand in front of the mirror, not the one in your bathroom, the one you keep hidden behind your eyes. Now ask yourself, who is still pretending to be you? The imposter, the survival self, the mask you built to protect yourself from judgment, failure, truth. He was useful once. He kept you safe, small, unseen. But now, he's in the way because you cannot wear the crown while holding on to the costume. Let me be clear. This isn't about imposter syndrome. It's deeper than a feeling. It's about an identity built on hesitation, one that's been running your life in quiet rebellion. It's the part of you that flinches when you speak your vision aloud, that softens your tone around power, that dresses for who you used to be, not for who you're becoming. And until you kill him, you will keep living in echoes of the past. Visualize it, a mirror, cracked, not from outside, but from within. Each crack a moment when you knew the truth, but chose the mask. A childhood memory, a failure you personalized. A voice, not even yours, saying, you're too much, too late, too unworthy. You've been haunted by that reflection, but it was never you. It was who you thought you had to become to survive. The chosen don't survive. They remember. they return. And to return, you must first destroy the false. Not gently, not respectfully, completely. Because here's the truth. You cannot live as both the imposter and the chosen one. You will have to choose. And choosing means killing the mask you've over-identified with. Napoleon Hill speaks of this tension. In Outwitting the Devil, he exposes how fear, doubt, and conformity create a false identity, one that drifts, delays, obeys. It doesn't dream. It mimics. It doesn't lead. It hesitates. That's the imposter. And the only way out is through fire. There's a moment, and you know it, where you feel the split. When you're about to say yes to something you've outgrown. When you're about to apologize for your ambition. When you shrink instead of speak. That's the imposter winning. But when you say no, when you risk being seen, when you tell the truth out loud, even if your voice shakes, the mirror begins to crack for your benefit, not to reflect, but to reveal. Because under that crack of glass is the version of you you've been avoiding. The one who doesn't ask, the one who doesn't flinch, the one who remembers what it's like to lead from knowing. But you can't access him while holding on to the shadow. You must kill the imposter, and it will hurt. Why? Because the imposter was designed to protect you. And now you must betray your own defense mechanism. You must grieve the identity you wore to belong. You must shed the shell that kept you safe and stagnant. But on the other side of that grief, power, breath, space, and a mirror that finally shows your real face. Echo loop. You're not faking it. You're waking it. So ask yourself, who taught you to doubt your own becoming? Was it someone you admired? Someone who feared your light? Or was it your own voice, shaped by years of trying to be enough? Let that sink in. Because once you name the lie, you can burn the script. And when the script burns, so does the imposter. What's left? A presence that cannot be ignored. A posture that doesn't beg to be seen, it radiates. A man no longer asking for entrance. He is the entrance. Kill the imposter. Not later. Now. Picture yourself walking across dry, cracked earth. No signs, no voices, no applause, just wind. You're walking towards something invisible, a vision no one else can see. And still, you walk, then something happens. You glance down and realize you're walking on water, but it only looks like water when you stop. When you move, it's solid. That's what faith looks like. Not belief in an idea, but belief in your role and its fulfillment. Here's the secret that most never understand. Faith is not passive. It's a motion, a frequency, a posture that says, I will no longer wait for a world I was born to command. And from that moment on, everything changes. Not because the world became easier, but because you became unshakable. This is the turning point. When you stop working toward your vision and start walking from it. When you act like it's already done, not as fantasy, but as identity. There's a quiet dominance in that energy. Not loud, not rushed, just inevitable. Napoleon Hill didn't say, try really hard. He said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But the part most people miss? The middle word, believe. And belief is not an emotion. It's a decision you prove with your steps. So let me ask you, if your success was already guaranteed, how would you show up differently? Would you hesitate before speaking? Would you question your pricing, your value, your worth? Would you keep checking if the door is open? Or would you walk through it like you built the house? That's the difference. The chosen don't ask if it's working. They decide that it already is, and their actions move in harmony with that decision. Imagine watching two people move toward the same goal. One walks with tension, scanning for signs, slowing down when no one claps. The other walks like the road owes him pavement. Not out of ego, out of certainty. Not, I hope this works. But this is already mine. I'm just moving in alignment with it. Who do you think the universe responds to? Because here's the deeper law. Reality bends for those who walk like the outcome is already written, not just because of confidence, but because movement is the manifestation. Read that again. Movement is the manifestation, not the end result, not the photo, not the moment you go viral. The act of walking in alignment is the miracle. There is no reward without embodiment. You must become the version of you who lives there before you ever get there. And becoming means walking, talking, dressing, building, not from hope, but from confirmation. You don't chase the crown. You carry yourself like you already wear it. And over time, the world begins to adjust to your frequency. Echo loop. He who walks, commands. Let's strip it down. The results you want are not waiting for a better strategy. They're waiting for a bolder identity, one that shows up, one that doesn't flinch, one that builds the vision as if the end has already arrived. Because once you move like it's done, it starts to become so. So ask yourself this: what would shift in your life today if you stopped walking like a candidate and started walking like the creator? Not to impress, not to prove, but because you know who you are. That's the walk. That's the gate. And from here on out, you don't lower your pace to be understood. You raise your standard to be remembered. Ready to face the resistance that comes after the embodiment. Now comes the part no one warns you about. The test, not of talent, not of strength, but of consistency in the dark. Because once you begin walking like the chosen, the world doesn't always applaud. It watches, it waits, it resists, and it asks the silent question: do you really mean it? You see, the moment you embody the chosen identity, you threaten every room that was built to keep you forgetful. You shift the dynamic. You interrupt the script. You radiate a frequency that exposes the comfort of others. And people, even people you love, will feel it. Some will fall silent. Some will criticize. Some will distance themselves and call it coincidence. But it's not. It's the test of being seen. Visualize this: a torch in the wind, held high, burning bright. At first, it lights your path, but then the wind rises. And suddenly, it's not about lighting the way. It's about protecting the flame. This is the season that filters the faithful from the familiar. This is where most fall, not because they lacked vision, but because they couldn't carry it through the silence. Napoleon Hill called this the testing time, a phase when nothing outside confirms what you know inside. No results, no validation, no proof. Just the echo of your own voice saying, keep going anyway. This is where your crown gets heavy. This is where shadows whisper, maybe you were wrong. Maybe you should go back. And the imposter, the one you thought was dead, knocks on the door. But this time, you don't answer. Why? Because the chosen one doesn't need to be understood. He needs to stay aligned. The world is not testing your dream. It's testing your devotion to it. It's asking, will you still carry this frequency when no one is clapping, when the numbers are low, when you're alone in your belief? That's the real initiation. And most will never pass it. Because this is the space where discomfort disguises itself as logic, where smallness pretends to be humility, where delay masquerades as realism. But you didn't come this far to perform safety. You came to embody destiny. And that means enduring the resistance that comes with revelation. Echo loop. Chosen is proven in silence. This is the crucible. Not loud, not dramatic. Just daily choices that either solidify your identity or slowly erode it. Wake up early or hit snooze. Speak your truth or swallow it. Charge your worth or shrink for comfort. Every action is a vote. Not for what you want, but for who you are. And here's what no one tells you. The world does not ignore you because you're failing. It ignores you to see if you'll still rise, if you'll still move when no one's watching, still lead when no one's listening, still shine when no one's clapping. That's when you become undeniable. That's when the energy becomes irreversible. So pause and ask, can I hold my crown when no one else sees it? Can I carry the weight of being seen, not just by others, but by myself? Because to truly walk as the chosen, you must first pass through the desert of invisibility and walk like the throne is already waiting. The test doesn't last forever, but it is required. Because what you become in the silence is what you command in the light. Let the fire keep burning. Are you ready for the final return? To the you that always knew, return with me to the beginning, the foggy valley, the silence, the invisible crown hovering just above your head. You didn't notice it then. You didn't feel worthy of it. You thought becoming was something you had to earn. But now you see it clearly. You feel its weight. You walk like it was always there, because it was. This isn't about becoming something new. This is about remembering who you've always been. You were never waiting to be chosen. You were waiting to choose yourself again and again with no audience, no permission, and no guarantee. And now you walk like it's already done. You have learned to move without proof, to burn the mask, to build in silence, to carry the crown even in the storm. This is the revelation. You are not becoming the chosen one. You are becoming the version of you who finally believes it. That shift, internal, silent, is the one that changes everything. Let this land deeply. The gate was never locked. The door was never closed. The vision was never separate from you. It was waiting for you to remember your name, to speak from power, to walk from certainty, to live from the identity of already done. Now you see the difference. You no longer chase. You align. You no longer hope. You embody. You no longer doubt. You decide. The crown is no longer above you. It's on you. And you wear it not with pride, but with peace. Because you finally understand there is no chosen one, only the one who chooses to act like they are. Echo loop. You are the proof. You are the prophecy. So from this day forward, let your walk speak what your words no longer need to explain. Let your posture say what your plans haven't yet shown. Let your presence carry the quiet weight of destiny fulfilled. And when the world asks what changed, you won't need to answer. You'll just smile and keep walking.